Welcome to our kitchen laboratory headquarters, where we're answering all the questions you've ever had about food with real science. Mentos and Diet Cola can be an explosive combination. But what is the chemistry behind this grand eruption? Wow, good one. And there is said to be a West African berry that has the power to make sour foods taste sweet. We'll suck on some lemons.
That's weird.
And do a few shots of vinegar.
Once you actually put it in your mouth, it tastes totally different than what you're expecting.
As we investigate the secret behind this miracle fruit. Plus, you've probably heard that the best way to tell when your pasta is perfectly cooked is to throw it against a wall until it stays there. We'll conduct an experiment to see if that theory sticks. And finally, we all know that drinking alcohol causes temporary impairment. Excuse me, can we have a round of drinks here, please? But does it actually kill brain cells? So join me, Ted Allen, as we investigate these burning questions on Food Detectives. Certain foods were just meant to go together. Peanut butter and jelly, wine and cheese, the classic burger and fries. But not since bread met butter has anything gone together quite like this. It's a source of endless fascination to researchers and web surfers that the combination of Mentos brand candies and Diet Cola can produce such a dramatic effect. But I've never understood how it works. Luckily, molecular biologist Adam Rubin is here to explain the explosion.
Hi, Ted.
Hi, Adam. So what's going on between this fizzy drink and the Fresh Maker?
Well, Ted, this is one of the awesomest chemical and physical reactions known to modern science. Now, while the ingredients are simple, the reaction itself is a little complex. Now, what you have to remember is that every time you open a bottle of cola, you have a little bit of rush of air coming out, and that air is actually carbon dioxide.
Okay, so that's what forms the bubbles that we're all familiar with.
Exactly, but to make an explosion like this, you have to make a whole lot of bubbles, big bubbles, very fast.
Wow, good one. When a bubble forms, it needs a nucleation site to grab onto. A nucleation site can be a rough spot or a scratch. And the surface of Mentos are covered with thousands of tiny pits that are excellent for attracting bubbles. But these are still small bubbles. We need something bigger for an explosion to occur. Large bubbles are created when lots of little ones join together. And Mentos have so many nucleation sites that the bubbles naturally combine. So why Diet Cola? Because it contains an artificial sweetener called aspartame that is thought to help this process along by weakening the surface tension of the liquid. Surface tension is a force that holds water molecules together, such as the water molecules in soda. It's also the force that holds a bubble together. The reduced surface tension, thanks to the aspartame, means all those little bubbles are more inclined to band together to form big, explosive ones. Wow.
Now, when you release all the Mentos at once and they go down to the very bottom of the bottle, you get a gigantic spray as you've seen here. But watch what happens when you just drop a few of them in slowly. This is the same number of Mentos. You're just going to lower them in slowly and carefully, and you don't really get an explosion. Oh. And this is because you don't have as much soda volume above the Mentos as you do when you drop them in all at once.
Oh, you mean like in a grand finale? Cupcakes and sour cream. Yeah, I didn't think so either. But what if there were a way to make sour foods taste sweet? Sure, there is sugar or artificial sweetener, but rumor has it, this little berry, the miracle berry, makes sour foods taste sweet. Is it true? Let's find out. Inside the New York Botanical Garden, this unassuming plant hides a miraculous secret. The scientific name for this tropical shrub is Synsapalum dulcificum, but it's commonly known as miracle fruit or miracle berry. Nat Bletter, an ethnobotanist at the garden, has studied the berry's origins for years. He shares his knowledge in the form of taste-altering parties, where people gather to experience the miracle fruit, feasting on foods that would normally taste sour.
Miracle fruit originates from tropical West Africa. The indigenous people would use the miracle fruit to make their staple foods taste much better. They eat these very sour fermented porridges and breads, so by having the miracle fruit first, they make these things taste much better and you could say even delicious.
A group of adventurous tasters has been invited to the gardens to help us learn more about this unusual berry. We want to know how it makes foods taste. Does it work on anything you eat? And finally, what is the science behind this unusual reaction? Now it's time for the test. Nat has instructed all of the participants to let the berry linger in their mouths for a few minutes. For miracle fruit to work, it needs to coat the surface of the tongue.
So what does the berry taste like?
Like kind of sparkling or something at the end, a little, I want to say citrusy or
I thought it
something.
was very bizarre. It changed from sort of very bland and a little sweet to being very sour at the tip of my tongue.
Right.
Oh, yeah?
So,
The miracle fruit on its own doesn't have a huge amount of taste. It's a little bit acidic at first, but it does start to sweeten in your mouth, just as it makes lemons and limes taste sweet. It makes itself taste sweet after it's in your mouth for a while, and that's how you know that it's starting to work.
Each of the test subjects now has one of these mysterious little berries in their mouth. When we come back, we'll serve our guests some tart treats to find out if the so-called miracle fruit really makes sour foods taste sweet. And we'll put some common cooking advice to the test. Is throwing your noodles at the wall really the best route to perfect pasta? Plus, does drinking alcohol do any permanent damage to your brain? Find out next. Now it's time to answer this question, which was sent in by a viewer. I've always heard that you can tell when pasta is done by throwing it against the kitchen wall, and when it sticks to the surface, it's ready to eat. Is this a kitchen myth, or is it the best way to time pasta? Well, there sure are a lot of people who like to fling their noodles all over the kitchen. Now, we know it's fun, but is it a reliable route to spectacular spaghetti? Let's break down what pasta is. Pasta means dough in Italian and has evolved over the centuries to refer to various noodles made from water, flour, and sometimes eggs. There are hundreds and hundreds of shapes of pasta. The dried varieties cook in approximately 8 to 15 minutes, while the fresh kind cooks much more quickly, sometimes in just 2 to 3 minutes. People pride themselves on preparing perfectly cooked or al dente pasta, which means to the tooth. Al dente pasta is cooked just long enough to be tender, yet still retaining some firmness. But how do you know what is just enough? Pasta is composed of starch granules bound together by networks of a protein called gluten. When a noodle is cooked, that starch absorbs some of the water and swells in size. If the strand hasn't absorbed enough water, it's undercooked. If it's absorbed too much, it's a mushy mess. Now, as the pasta cooks, it also becomes stickier. Let's take a look at how this happens. When the noodle swells, it causes the protein matrix to crack, allowing starch granules to escape into the water. And starch mixed with water forms a very sticky paste. It's similar to the glue made from flour and water in paper mache. This gluey paste coats the noodle, which is why the strands stick to each other, or to the kitchen wall if that's where they're heading. So the question is, at the exact point when pasta becomes sticky enough to cling to the wall, is it perfectly cooked? The ingredients we need for this experiment are 2 pots of boiling water, some good quality spaghetti, and a couple of food techs with a portable pasta testing wall. Let's get started. Food tech number 1 will cook her pasta as specified on the package for exactly 12 minutes. Food tech number 2 will ignore the timer entirely and simply fling his noodles at the wall until they stick. When they do, according to legend, they're done. Food tech number 2, using the appropriate caution, of course, please begin throwing pasta at the wall. I think you need a few more minutes. Not done yet. You know, I think it's getting there. All right. Food tech number 2, according to the wall method, your pasta is done. Please take it out. All right, food tech number 1, just a couple minutes to go. Now, both food techs have finished cooking their pasta, and it's time to determine which method worked best. I will now taste the noodles and also inspect them visually. First, the spaghetti that was cooked according to the package instructions. It was boiled for exactly 12 minutes. Perfection. One continuous hue and texture through and through the noodle. Now, let's try the pasta from Food Tech 2. At least, the pasta he didn't leave stuck to our wall. Undercooked. This piece is lighter in color in the center and has a crunchy texture. Really could have used another minute or two. And so we have determined that the wall method is not an accurate way to done your pasta. It's a shame the wall method doesn't work, but it does make sense scientifically. Pasta cooks from the outside in, so the starches on the surface become soft and sticky before the inside is fully cooked. This far-flung technique may be fun, but perfect pasta boils down to that last couple of minutes. Science has been served. Now it's time to clean up. We invited a group of subjects to experience the taste-altering properties of a very unique plant called miracle fruit. This West African berry supposedly has the power to make sour foods taste sweet. Each guest has let a berry rest in their mouth for a couple minutes. Now it's time to put it to the test. First, let's find out how the berry changes the taste of sour citrus. We used grapefruit and lemon wedges for the experiment.
It's really good. It's sweet.
Really sweet now. It's really sugary.
It's like lemonade.
Lemonade? Yeah.
This is so, so good.
It's really sweet. It tastes like grapefruit. You get all the grapefruit taste, but it's extra sweet.
The grapefruit that I hate, now I think I love.
So the active substance in miracle fruit is called miraculin. And this compound docks with the sweet receptor on your tongue, and it doesn't start activating it until it's turned on by an acid. And once the acid, something sour hits it, it will sort of open up and start firing off that receptor, telling your brain that you have something sweet in your mouth when you only have something acidic.
We've never met anyone who enjoys vinegar shots, so that's what we served up for the second taste test.
The vinegar, the miracle berry adds a completely sweet flavor to it. It's pretty unbelievable. My stomach's confused. I don't know what's going on.
Just flew by the front of my mouth and in the back.
It tastes like syrup though. And then it goes down in your throat and I can feel the vinegar.
Yeah.
The vinegar is sweet in their mouths, but they're still feeling the burn as it makes its way down. That's because the berry's effect is topical. It only works in the spots where it rested on the tongue.
This is all happening just on your tongue. It's not altering your brain chemistry at all. It doesn't affect serotonin or any of those neurotransmitters. It's just on the surface of your tongue.
We tested a whole spread of foods, and the Miracle Berry did not work on all of them.
I didn't really think the olives changed at all. The olives sort of tasted the same.
I hate blue cheese.
Really?
But I'll go for it.
All right, let's see what happens.
Let's take a
See
stinky
if we can
piece.
get a convert.
No.
Still no?
Still no.
The blue cheese doesn't taste very different. The way the berry works isn't fully understood, but it is believed to have the greatest effect on highly acidic foods, like lemon or vinegar. So the change would be less dramatic in blue cheese than for a more acidic dairy product, like sour cream.
Tastes like yogurt or
Yeah, like a vanilla yogurt. Cheese almost could like be a dessert. Yeah, I like this.
In the United States, Miracle Berry is mostly consumed as a novelty. But there has been interest in using it to develop sweet, low-calorie products for diabetics and for people who are trying to lose weight. Low-sugar desserts could be made more palatable by coating them in the berry's extract.
I've studied tons of plants, but miracle fruit is one of the most amazing ones that I've ever experienced. It's just such an immediate and drastic change that everyone can experience.
This is really cool. I'd like to maybe get my hands on some and see what other flavors my foods are hiding at home.
Hopefully my Miracle Berry has taken effect, because the only thing I have to wash down this sour cream cupcake is a glass of vinegar. Not bad. Now, where are those lemons? Coming up next on Food Detectives,
I do enjoy this sort of research, Ted.
does a round of cocktails really leave you with fewer brain cells? That's next. I'm here with Jake Ward from Popular Science magazine. Popular Science has done a lot of research on the effect of alcohol on the body.
I do enjoy this sort of research, Ted.
I'm glad you do, Jake. I've asked you here to shoot some pool and to answer a question that's been troubling imbibers for years.
I'll do my best.
Okay, what I need to know is, does alcohol really kill brain cells?
Well, the short answer is that unless you have a serious drinking problem, alcohol won't kill brain cells. Legend has it that that idea came from researchers who poured booze directly onto brain cells. That can kill them, but I don't know a lot of people who crack their own heads open and pour the booze straight inside.
So, it's a myth. Alcohol does not kill brain cells.
Margaritas won't kill brain cells, but they will compromise their function.
I see. All right, so what is happening to your brain when you're drinking?
A series of events take place. It all starts with something called neurotransmitters, chemicals that speed up or slow down the messages that pass between nerve cells. Neurotransmitters fit into receptors on the neuron like a lock and key. Alcohol slows down the signals between your nerve cells, and the collective result is that your brain function slows down.
Well, slowing down a little doesn't sound so bad, as long as they speed up again.
And most of the time they do, but it still would shut down important parts of your brain.
The first region of your brain to slow down is the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for processing the information you get from your senses. Slower signals to this part of the brain also compromise your inhibition and judgment. Judgment. Now that's where you get the problem of beer goggles. The fact that the more you drink, the better looking people get. The cerebellum sequences the commands that control movement. And when those signals are disrupted by alcohol, it affects your coordination.
And when you stop being able to make memories, that's the hippocampus shutting down.
So that's not just a defense mechanism to help you forget that you wore a lampshade at the office party?
No, it's a serious neurological event.
For moderate drinkers, the effects of alcohol are temporary, but chronic alcohol abuse can result in permanent loss of brain function. It's called Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. and it's caused by a severe vitamin B1 deficiency that is common in alcoholics.
Well, I'm only talking about heavy drinking. If you take your time and then call it a night, a little nip here and there can actually be a beneficial thing.
Go on.
Well, some research has shown that certain adults who drink lightly may actually be reducing their risk of dementia. It could be that these adults have better cardiovascular health and as a result get more blood flow to their brain.
So you're telling me that I can fully enjoy this cocktail, secure in the knowledge that light to moderate drinking not only isn't killing my brain cells, but might even be making them function better as I get older?
Yes, the slowdown effect that alcohol generally has is usually temporary. And, in fact, it may be beneficial to your health.
Excellent news, Jake. Unfortunately, I'm not sure it's having a beneficial effect on my game.